Hey everybody, so my presentation of my experience is going to be just a video of me talking about it, because all know how I love to make posters and things like that. Not quite my jam. So first things first, PSA, next time you're in a foreign country, don't do what I freaking did for 3 weeks and walk in the incorrect shoes, because the last day of my trip, I ended up stress fracturing my toe. I don't know how else to say that. So I've been walking around on these guys. Those are definitely going to fall. And this lovely boot, which can also be yours for the low cost of $25 on Amazon. It's fine. It's healing. Seriously, though. Right shoes. I hope I'm the only one that had a problem. Spain was amazing. 3 weeks was a long time, but it was fun. So change-making schools, the number one takeaway that I have from this experience for me as an educator is that, like, going into it, I really didn't see myself as somebody who could implement meaningful change-making in my classroom, because it seemed like just a lot of work and I didn't know how to do it, and my fear is that I'm going to be in a school where the environment just isn't conducive to that, right? And so I just imagined myself as this like lone person, and I didn't like to think about it. But this experience has taught me, mostly in the classwork that we did in class, that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. Like I can implement meaningful opportunities for change making in discrete sections of my curriculum if I want to, rather than having the entire thing be about that, in addition to focusing on like all of the state standards and things like that, and PD as a new teacher, and just like learning the ropes. Like it was all such a headache, but I feel like it's actually possible, which is great. Another big takeaway is just the wealth of online resources and PLCs for growing as a change-making educator, and finding people who are more experienced than you and can help you, and who are just as experienced with you as you, and are learning the ropes alongside you, so you can like support each other. Like that's so huge. Another huge takeaway is, and I shared this in our last class in Spain, is that I need to learn Spanish, because I was so frustrated not being able to communicate effectively with everyone that I wanted to, because I didn't speak the language. And just putting myself in the shoes of my students, like, it was my first opportunity that I really afforded myself to be able to empathize with all of my students who are like still learning English, and what they're going through, not being able to communicate. So frustrating. So I've been home for a week and a half, and every day I have studied Spanish. Haven't done it yet today. To do it right after, I'm looking at my desktop behind me with the program all queued up and everything. Yeah, so that's definitely going to change my experience, because I'm committing to learning Spanish, which is awesome. Let's see, the schools themselves, I also think, now that I've reflected on this a bit, that I really love that we got to see the fourth school, who was just like in its second year, or in its second year as a change-making school, and we could see them going through like the growing pains. They weren't there yet, which is another important part of like my thinking now, like that it's a process. We started at all of these schools that have been doing it for like freaking forever. Like the US change-making school was awesome to see, but it was also super intimidating, because I didn't know how to get from like step A to step Z. Whereas the fourth school we saw was like step F, maybe. I don't know. That's not a letter grade. That's just like the progression. Anyway, it was fantastic to be able to spend so much time with all of you in Spain, and to learn alongside you. So many of you have had incredible experiences with change making so far in your classrooms, and that you've seen in other classrooms at your sites. And it's definitely an experience I'm never, ever going to forget. Let's see. I don't remember who took extensive pictures of the portfolios, but I super want those. if anyone has those, because those were so impressive. Oh my god. And that's like a huge benchmark that I feel like I could use as a teacher in my own classroom to guide me in the process of having a unit, say. And like, these are all the things that we need to cover. This is what we're building toward, alongside the step-by-step process that I can't remember who put it out. I think it was Ashoka, had like all of the steps. Here you go. So that's something that I want to try as well in a shortened version, which we sort of talked about. You can do, but it's more difficult. Anyway, I'm going to give it a try. Sorry for that brief interruption in services. We now return to our previously scheduled broadcast. Yeah, the thing that I was really impressed with, that I was just talking about, is the tools that are available to help guide you toward being an effective change-making educator. I was so impressed by, and it's so comforting as a new teacher who, like, I'm not yet really confident in my abilities yet. I'm not experienced enough with who I am in the classroom and what my capabilities are, that knowing that there are tools like that available to help you is game changing. And that's one of the things that makes me feel like it's possible for me to do in the classroom. Without that, I don't think that I would have the confidence to start. That's when things really started turning around for me, is when I saw the like pre-made things that people have available to guide them. Let's see. So the 4 pillars, if you want to say, of change making, 4 major elements. Empathy is a mindset, definitely. But there are also so many like structured things that you can do in the classroom to help build empathy. And one of the things that I heard a couple of times at numerous schools is that they don't let opportunities for building socio-emotional learning through things like social justice, they don't let those opportunities pass them by. They use conflict when it comes up as teachable moments, which is one thing that I really, really want to do, because that's the kind of thing that makes me really excited about being a teacher. Like, yeah, I love history. I love learning things through like anthropology and sociology and stuff like that. It's totally my jam. But the thing that really motivates me to be a teacher is helping my students grow as individuals. So I am so grateful that we got to see schools where the students had been going through the socio-emotional learning for years, and they just seemed comfortable. And they seemed comfortable talking to adults, like they trust us by default, rather than being suspicious of us, which is what I'm used to seeing in most traditional schools, which like that tells you all you really need to know about how they're growing as individuals, I think. Let's see, leadership. One thing that I'm going to be investing time in, I started doing this during my student teaching, but I hadn't really seen the power of it I hadn't seen it in action as much, is the use of meaningful group roles within projects and within group work that affords students not only leadership opportunities, but the opportunity to take the curriculum and their learning opportunities and really make them their own. I think that it's really motivating when they are given these roles, these leadership roles that they get to just be in charge of within these groups. And same thing for me. I'm talking about liking having tools and structures at my disposal to help me as a new teacher and as a new change-making teacher. I think that's powerful for students as well, to have a framework through which to operate. I think that that's freeing. It's really strange, but yeah, I've seen that again and again as I'm growing into who I am as an adult, blah, 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 whatever, that having structures in place like that actually lets you feel more free to be you and to do the things that you need to do, and to help you learn about yourself and to help you learn in general. So I think that's really powerful. That's the biggest scaffold toward leadership that I think that I saw in all of the different change-making schools. The other thing was, and this isn't going to be possible for me for a while, but the students who were talking to us about, this was at the second change-making school in Spain, about their projects and just like rattling off all this stuff that they did. Yeah, I started a small business, blah, 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 like it's nothing. Like these kids were leaders. They were growing into being leaders in their communities. And it was just built into the curriculum. That's what they were doing. I would love to do something like that. That's going to take time. That's okay. But I feel comfortable being patient with myself now. Let's see. We did empathy, leadership, teamwork. Shit. I mean, how do you not grow in your team making skills when basically all you're doing is group work? Yeah, that's something I have a lot of experience with already, though. That's basically all we did in my student teaching since I was at High Tech High. But I got to see a lot more of that, so that was cool. And then why am I blanking on the fourth one? Empathy, leadership, teamwork, critical thinking. Luckily, my action research was about critical thinking. Otherwise, I feel that I would be confused because I think we talked about this in one of our classes. We didn't see as much critical thinking as we wanted to in most of these schools. Like in the very first school in the US, we visited that advanced English class. I think that's what they called it, advanced English. And the kids were clearly engaged in critical thinking about the book that they had been reading. Like, and I was really impressed by that. We didn't see too much of it in the other schools. It was much harder for us to come up with examples of critical thinking. I wrote in my paper that I think that had I been able to read more of the portfolios, that I would have seen evidence of critical thinking in there, but just observing the kids in their learning environment, it seemed like that's just so much harder to do. Like you can give students a framework. You can ask good open-ended questions. You can design activities that are designed to engage people in critical thinking, but it's much harder to get there for students. Like you actually have to step by step explicitly teach critical thinking skills. And I don't remember seeing any of that. That's not to say that it doesn't happen, but I don't remember seeing any of it. I'm curious if my perspective is skewed here. I'd love to hear from somebody who can remind me of something that we did see, or you saw something in a classroom that I wasn't in, to give me more of a handle on critical thinking and change-making experience. But yeah, bottom line is I'm so happy to know that there are resources out there to help me grow into a change-making teacher. I love that it can be, piecemeal is the wrong word, but I like that it can be it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I had a great time with all of you, and I'm learning Spanish, finally. I'm coming for your gig, Luz. No, I'm kidding. All right, everybody. I hope you had a great time too, and I look forward to seeing and listening to all of your presentations as well. Bye.